As I'm sure you are aware, on February 24th, 2022, the nation of Ukraine was invaded. And when that happened, the Lord's church, along with many other people, sought to respond to the multitude of needs there among the refugees, the displaced persons, and those in the midst of the war within Ukraine. And we began to make available our Global Relief Ministry. The Global Relief Ministry is a benevolent instrument of the Sunset International Bible Institute, which is used in order to help in areas where we can take humanitarian aid in and also share the gospel as we go. During those first days of the war, there were so many needs, and the situation was so urgent and fluid and even chaotic that funds by many groups were being provided all over the place. And needs became visible, and people were just trying to get money in and trying to get help wherever they could do it. But it became apparent that a more long-term strategy was necessary in order to be able to help long-term with the relief needs. And so the GRM participated in those early days of providing relief, but has also been developing a long-term strategic plan over the past 11 months. As a result of a series of strategic moves and specific actions, I think that we've arrived at a place where our operations are able to do a great deal of good using the least necessary amount of funds while acquiring the most available materials. The GRM provides food for over 6,000 people every day across Ukraine. And the effective number is higher as we're still verifying additional levels of distribution. The food comes from Breedlove soup mix packets sent in 3 containers from the U.S. and from food bought in Poland and in Ukraine. Here is an image from the war, and certainly that image can be carried over to a great many different cities in Ukraine, whether that's in Dnipro, Kharkiv, Kyiv, Mariupol, Kherson, Zaporizhia, and even into western Ukraine. As you know, it is currently winter in Ukraine, as it was during the time of the earliest days of the invasion, which made it so much more difficult. And so we began to work in order to prepare some containers to go over, as I previously mentioned. And this is an image that was taken at Breedlove here in Lubbock as we were preparing the very first container of food that was sent over to Ukraine. This was enough to feed 1 million people and has been distributed. Another image of all of us saying goodbye to that container as it began to roll out of the Breedlove area. And here it is being received in Ukraine and being offloaded by some of our brethren in western Ukraine, and thereby to be distributed into areas of Ukraine. There were people who were waiting to receive some of those goods, as there are people that are lined up wherever distributions are made, because they have very little opportunity to be able to receive whether it's food or clothing or other items. And so the best opportunity they have is to be able to find people who are giving things away, and they are dependent upon those people. We also purchase items when they are available in Ukraine, and this is a purchase within Ukraine where they have supplies. And we also purchase, as I mentioned, in Poland. Those things are then put into individual packets and delivered into the hands of the people who are needing them the most. And here is one lady who had received a packet. Here's a packet of the Breedlove food that was shipped over, and it's being boiled on the stove. We've got images and I've got videos of this being boiled on stoves, boiled over campfires, being fried up in a pan, and it really is a wonderful gift that we are able to get over there. And here is some more of that lentil soup and some more. Here's a family receiving some of the supplies that we've taken in there. We've also tried to help out with some of the medical clinics and other things. We purchased at this place a washing machine so that they could have clean sheets. We have distributed coats for the winter, and you'll see some examples of that here in just a moment. Here are 3 striking men, all dressed in the same coats that we've bought in bulk and sent over in containers as well. Another young man in his coat, and someone in theirs. We've also purchased generators. As you know, there have been missile strikes that have taken out much of the infrastructure within Ukraine, and so that has affected the electricity. It has taken away running water. It has also taken away their heat. And so by purchasing, shipping over, and also purchasing locally generators, we are able to power heating stations within congregations within Ukraine, as well as to help out some of the clinics and nursing homes that are there, and orphanages. This is an evangelism effort that is taking place on the street. They are handing out tea and some other things, but they are also sharing some tracts and preaching on the street. Here they're preparing a Bible to go with some of the packets that are going to be distributed. And the results of those kinds of distributions are certainly the saving of souls. Here is our brother Yura Toran baptizing a woman in a bathtub. And here is our brother Fedya Chernichin, who was baptizing someone. Our brother Alexander Maluga doing a baptism as well. Here's an entire group within a congregation receiving some goods. And here at the congregation in Sopot, Poland, where we have a refugee point for a number of congregations, this was an occasion where there were 3 baptisms on that day of some of the refugees that had come into that area. The GRM is working in Ukraine as well as outside of Ukraine. And you can see on the map there in Europe the primary places. Obviously, the primary place of distribution is within Ukraine itself, and that obviously is the place of greatest need. But we are also working in Poland, in Slovakia, in the Netherlands, as well as in a couple of other places that I'll show you in just a moment. Here's a distribution network of 24 different sites that are primarily made up of the graduates of the Ukrainian Bible Institute. And so what we do with the GRM is we take in the goods, we then distribute them to our graduates who, through their congregations, set up heating points and distribution points, and they are ministering by giving out these physical goods, but also by giving out spiritual instruction as well. Another thing in which people have communicated to us that they need is counseling as a result of the war. You can imagine there's a great deal of PTSD as a result of the conflict. And so one of the things that the GRM has done is we have begun offering seminars throughout Ukraine, as well as in the nations which I'm showing you, on how to deal with grief, how to deal with PTSD, and help to make people whole, and thereby to also help them to become receptive to the gospel. And we have worked in the authoring of a book in order to make that information available, and then the printing and distribution of that book, and then the seminar materials and other things which we are doing. And that also is going out into these areas of Ukraine. We are also helping out in refugee centers in such places as Zagreb, Croatia, Košice, Slovakia, which is where the Ukrainian Bible Institute is now currently settled, and it is holding its courses online. We have major distribution sites in Warsaw and in the Gdynia Sopot area. Obviously, Poland is the nation which has absorbed the greatest amount of refugees from Ukraine. It's been estimated that as many as 4 million Ukrainians have entered into Poland. Now, they've not all stayed there. They've gone on to other places in the EU, but there are still a great many of those people in Poland. And we are also working in The Hague in the Netherlands as another site. Ours is a long-term plan, not simply to give humanitarian aid, but to seek to save the souls of those who are lost, and when the timing is right, to assist with the rebuilding of the church in Ukraine. But we also recognize that there is a diaspora of Ukrainians which are scattered throughout Europe now that will never return to Ukraine. And many of our brothers and sisters who have a very fervent faith and who are very willing to share their faith are now in an area which over the last 40 and 50 years has been in decline in terms of the growth of faith. In fact, it's been the opposite of growth of faith. And so we are going to be working long-term over the next couple of decades to try and strengthen and rebuild the church in Europe, trying to make good come out of this bad situation by taking God's people who are on fire and allowing them to bring faith and rekindle it within some places in Europe. And we will be aiding in that. And obviously, this is not something we are doing on our own. We are doing this with some very, very good partners, such as Breedlove, Jeremiah's Hope. We are doing it with such, my mind has gone blank, the Volunteer Brothers for Distribution in Ukraine, the Poznaki Church in Kyiv, UBI, Healing Hands International, and others. Without the cooperation of these things, and without our brothers' trust, our brotherhood's trust in SIBI as a place that is going to faithfully receive and distribute these things, what we're doing would not be taking place. What makes this different from what others are doing, I would assert, is a long-term strategy, which is, I believe, set upon kingdom building. And so I hope that you're encouraged by what you've seen this morning, and I hope that you and your congregations will continue to be involved with the Global Relief Ministry, because the needs continue to be great, and they will be great for years to come. And we will share more of that in the days, months, and even years to come. May God bless you.